Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am your host today, Midnight Cloud, and today we're going to be reading more scary stories directly from Reddit. But before we start, quick dab for dry lips. Okay, so get comfy and let's start. I don't think I've read this before, but this one is called The Ghost City. I'm not sure if this is allowed here because it's a place that has seen a lot of paranormal activity rather than a singular occurrence. In fact, it is deeply rooted in ancient religion as a result of its perceived connection with the afterlife. I lived in Shanxi, China up until last year for about 2 years. One of my closest friends was from a town known as Fengdu that was located in Shanxi, China province in south-central China. She told me that the name Ghost City was ascribed to Fengdu in the Eastern Han Dynasty several thousands years ago, when two imperial officials came to Ming Mountain, which is also the central to Fengdu, to practice Taoist teachings. Their surnames Yin and Wang combined meant King of Hell, and later a temple was erected in their honor, depicting life in the underworld. She told me that it's believed that the dead go to the afterlife through a series of 3 tests. The first test is to cross the Nothing to be Done Bridge, which is a series of 3 stone arches under which are square pools of water. The virtuous soul will be able to cross without any issue, while the villainous soul will fall into the pools. So basically, you're gone. If you're not a good person, you're technically gone. Oh no. The second test is to face King Yama, aka King of Hell, or the afterlife, for judgment. At the temple, the passage is known as the Ghost Torturing Pass, and it's decorated with sculptures of ferocious demons and the horribly mutilated bodies of evil souls. The last test is known the Tianzi Palace. Tianzi means child of heaven. The soul must stand upon a special stone using only 1 foot for 3 minutes. If the soul is righteous and pure, they may enter paradise without issue, but an evil soul will be struck down and sent to hell immediately. At the end of the 3 passages, there is the last glance at home tower where souls consigned to hell may say farewell to their living families. My friend told me that it can be somewhat gimmicky, but the place actually is believed to be populated with ghosts. Decorated throughout this 2,000-year-old temple are depictions of torture where people are shown being hung upside down and beaten black and blue. Coffins are hung from the side of the cliffs as part of the old tradition, and dismembered body parts are pictured in reliefs around the temple walls. Many of the locals also regularly report paranormal activity happening in and around the temple grounds. For example, it's not uncommon for one to see a dead loved one here, and poltergeists happen very often within the temple walls. The entire city really leans into the nickname of Ghost City, and it's important to visit during Halloween and Qingming Festival, which is a time where spirits of loved ones are believed to return to the world of the living to see their families. Not unlike the Day of the Dead in Mexico. Despite not having been able to visit myself, my friend told me that for people visiting for the first time, Fengdu can have a haunted air about it. Giant statues of King Yama and the demons don't help much to alleviate the tension. She also added that the locals love to decorate the area with skeletons doing daily tasks such as cleaning, cooking, playing mahjong, etc., to make it seem more fun. However, one must keep in mind that most, if not, these ancient images of torture are depictions of real practices, however gruesome, and the locals firmly believe that the soul of the damned reside there in Fengdu, the entrance to the ancient Chinese hell. What an interesting belief! Of course, I will be adding some photos so you can see what it looks like, and I'm sorry if I ever butchered some words. Clearly, I am not Chinese, so I don't really know, or I've attempted to Google how to pronounce certain words, but I will get better. Although I like this story, it's just very interesting to see in all cultures we have some sort of what happens in the afterlife. Okay, this one is also from China. So this story is probably the most known one in Chinese universities. A few years ago, a young female student leapt to her own death. Afterwards, it is said that this girl would visit the room she committed suicide. However, nobody knew the number of this room. Gradually, because the administrator of this university has blocked the passage of this message. 1 year before the Chinese traditional Spring Festival, most students had returned, but a girl continued to stay in her dormitory. At night, this girl heard a strange noise in the corridor. This noise sounded like a footstep, but was slower and loudly. This girl was a bit scared because there was nobody else in the room. At first, the girls supposed that there was a thief outside, probably. So, to avoid attracting attention, this girl turned off the light and kept silence. However, she still heard the noise was approaching her and finally stopped before her door. This girl was so scared but had to repress it. At this moment, she heard a sentence, "I am watching you." This girl was surprised because the door was locked well, but there was no possibility that she was supervised. But to protect herself, this girl got under the bed. She supposed there was safer because of the darkness. However, she heard the sound again, "I am watching you." At this moment, this girl saw a strange light under the door. In fact, as mentioned above, the young student who committed suicide leapt to her death and landed on her head. Therefore, this girl could not walk on foot on the head, and the loud and slow noises was caused by this. Also, for this same reason, the dead girl was upside down, so she could watch her younger schoolmate under the door. Ooh, that is so freaky. Oh my god. Oh gosh. I hate thinking about that. Thank God. Thank God someone's here in the house with me, because otherwise I would have been so freaked out. I just don't like the idea of upside down ghost. It's freaky. Okay, so this other story, the last story, is called The Revenge of, how do you say this word? Trayonichide. That's in China, a small town along with the Yangtze River abounds with a kind of
Trionichide.
And local residents find this
Trionichide.
delicious, particularly the meat around the shell. Because this piece of meat seems like a skirt of the local residents call it
Trionichide.
skirt. Why they keep putting this word here? They know I can't pronounce it. Actually, let me Google it. Ew, okay, it's like turtles. Who would want to eat the turtle, dog? Look at this. You know what? I'm just gonna attach a photo. But damn, I've never tried turtle meat, never will. Okay, continuing the story. However, it is said that the Trionichide is brilliant and could perceive the human emotion. For instance, when they hear someone is attempting to catch them, they would hide secretly. Also, they could remember the appearance of the hunter they had met and would probably revenge. Therefore, before starting the work, the hunter must cast a spell to hide. One day, a young man went out to hunt for this turtle, and his wife stayed home. A few hours later, his wife heard that someone was knocking on the door, and then found there was standing a strange lady. The hunter's wife asked the lady who she was and why she visited here. To the hunter's wife's surprise, the young lady responded angrily, "Your husband is too rude. Just now, he molested my sister and then teared up my sister's skirt. How dare he is." The hunter's wife knew her husband's job and heard something about the turtle before, so she responded calmly, "Excuse me, my husband is honest and mild-mannered. I am afraid he would never molest any girl, and possibly you have mixed the culprit for my husband." The young lady was silent for a moment and then continued, "Okay, perhaps I misunderstood it. By the way, I have heard that your family sell turtle skirt, and could I buy some? I want to have a try." After hearing these words, the hunter's wife doubted the identity of the young lady immediately and supposed that this lady was probably a turtle who came here for revenge. She thought the hunter's wife, who repressed her nervousness and said calmly, "No, I am afraid you made a mistake again, because nobody hunts for turtles in our village, but I know a man who lives in an adjoining village runs this business. You can visit him to buy what you want." After hearing this, the young lady did not reply and then left. Shortly afterwards, the hunter returned and complained, "Today, I have nearly caught a turtle. I have touched its skirt, but it finally escaped. At this point, his wife narrated what happened just now, and the hunter realized he had forgotten the spell in the morning. This whole content of this story, however, I usually imagine what would happen if the hunter's wife exposed her husband's identity. I agree, what would happen if the wife actually was just like, oh yeah, I don't know what the moral of the story is, it's just an interesting one. A turtle shell. I didn't know you could eat that. I actually didn't even know you can eat turtles. Yeah. The first time I heard that was like maybe 7 years ago. I was kind of baffled because that doesn't look too appetizing. But then again, every culture has different dishes, so maybe that's their thing, Could be delicious, I don't know, never tried it. Probably never will, who knows. But that is the end of the story, and I hope you enjoy these stories specifically from China. And then I will see you again next time. Do check out my Poshmark link below and also my social medias. And I'll see you again next time. I am your host, Midnight Clouds. Good night.